Hello friends, welcome. Friends, today, since morning I have been working on this dashboard, which I just posted on LinkedIn, which gives a trend on the central bank's gold trading trends. So these are the two dashboards which I created, and I posted these dashboards just couple of minutes back in on LinkedIn. Now friends, I am not going to take you through this dashboard. That's not the intent. This video is completely different. So why I am doing this video? Because when I was working on this data, I went to this World Gold Council website. So when I went to this website, I was asked to log in, and then there are a lot of good information dashboard which is available in this website. Also, they have raw data. Now, these dashboards which are available in the website, they are very good. There is no problem with that, but it does not give you a hands-on experience. Means, suppose you want to do some kind of changes here and there, you won't be able to do. So it is better to work with raw data. So what I did was I downloaded these two Excel sheets. So one is the official gold holding. So if you see this sheet, it is right in front of you. You will find that the official gold holding of various central banks has been shown in this sheet, starting from United States, Germany, and others. So this is a standalone sheet, right? Similarly, there is one more sheet which is the gold changes. Here is the sheet, right? So you see that there are countries here, the comments here, then there are times spans here where various transactions have been shown, right, for various countries. Now there are two distinct sheets here, right? One sheet is this. So this sheet also has got annual, monthly, and there are certain notes here, disclaimers and comments also. So it's quite a difficult sheet to handle for visualization. So what I've done is I created a kind of a code which kind of does this work pretty seamlessly. And it is not about this code. What I am thinking of talking in this video is that how you can make a code more scalable. That's the more important point. For example, suppose the structure of these two sheets change in near future, not drastically but slightly, which I showed you just now. These two sheets, this sheet and the other sheet. Because if you write a code today, your code has to be scalable. You cannot be changing your code each and every time, right? So how you can make your code more scalable is what I am going to discuss today. So these are the two blocks of code which I have written, which processes these two files and then finally combine these two files into this file which I am going to show you. So this is the compiled file which I feed into my Tableau dashboard. So this is the file. I'll just open and show it to you before I proceed with so here is the file. Here is the file. So you can see that is much more cleaner compared to what you saw in those dashboards. So what this file does is it gives you a date field, a value field, which is the transaction field, and then the total field. Total means what is the current holding that these central banks have and the date of that total, because you have to add each and everything in one single sheet, otherwise very, very difficult to process. So let's go and start working on this so that you can understand how I have done it. So there are some standard library which you have to import. So you can pause the video and take a note of it. So what I'm going to do, because I want to minimize my time to type this into the into the code. So I'm going to copy from one sheet to another sheet and show it to you, and I'm going to talk about the principles. So the first is that I read the first Excel file, which is gold changes, and since this file has got three tabs. So if you see that there are 4 tabs, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to read on the third tab. So third tab, if I'm going to read, so it will be sheet number 2, right? So 0 is the first tab, 1 is the second tab, and the second is the third tab, right? So I'm going to read this file and I'm going to copy this into data frame. So let's run this and see what happens. So this is the data frame, right? This is going to be the data frame. It's going copying. Look. So this data frame is very difficult to digest. So unless you clean it up, it will not make sense. So what should be your step? in order to make this process more seamless and scalable. So the first most important thing that you should be doing when you copy any Excel sheet into a data frame is to remove all rows which are null, both rows as well as column. And you should do it irrespective of whatever you copy, because that's the first step which will basically remove all unnecessary columns. Even if there are no unnecessary columns and rows, you still remove it, right? So what I've done is that I am going to copy this code here and I'm going to run this right here below. And you will see that this is doing what? This is dropping NA, axis is equal to 1 means columns and axis is equal to 0 means row. So I run it. So after I run it, then it is the data frame is right in front of you, and I'm going to save it into a fresh data frame. So I have now the first step is done. Now what is the next step? The next step is very important. Let me just show you what basically, in order to make this more scalable, what you should do as a next step. So let's look at the data frame. So how this data frame looks, let me just do a head. And let's take 20. Okay, so it will become easy to manage. So when you are looking at this data frame, what you are seeing this data frame, you can see there are a lot of headings and lot of rows which are quite unnecessary. So what you need is the row starting from row index, which is 6, right? So this is the row you need, because rest of the row is garbage. You don't need it. So how do you identify which row is going to be 6? Because if the structure of the sheet changes, this row can go into a higher level or can go into lower level. So if you basically do, let's say if I do here like this, I look, okay, and then if I basically just go here and say 6, and then I say, okay, all columns, right? I can do this. Sorry, I have to basically do this also. So what will happen is that all the rows which will be above these rows are going to get vanished, right? But this is not a scalable way of managing the data, because once you slice your data frame in this manner, what if this becomes 7 or 8 or 9? How do you manage that? So this is not the way to manage it. So what you have to do it automatically. So it has to happen automatically. So how do you do it? Let's understand this. So I'll just go and copy here this code, and I'll explain to you what this particular code does. So I'll just copy it here and I'll paste it. So what this code is doing is, it is looking for this word country. Now even if the word country is not there, it is misspelled, you should, when you are working on the data sheet, just go there and put the word country in this cell, right? So once you've done that, then all your worries over, because then this code will work irrespective of whether the country has been misspelled and any time in future. So what it is doing is, it is basically checking this particular column and looking for the string called country. And if this is true, then it is storing this value here in this row index number called IDX. So I'm going to run and show it to you. You see 6. So what I've done, I am basically storing this into a variable called IDX, right? So this is the next step. So now you understand. So I have the row index, which I have done it very in an automatic fashion. So I have not, it is not a hard coded thing. It will work in a generic manner, right? Now, what is the next step? The next step is to clip the data frame from anything which is above row number 6. So how you do it, which is very simple to do, right? So let me just copy this, and then what you do is, you can just simply paste it here, and then what I'm doing, I am just using a simple ilog function, because I know this is 6, so 6 and then all rows here and then all columns, and then I'm resetting the index and dropping the index. So I'll just show it to you how it works. So you see here, so everything got clipped, right? The index has been reset, and now I can store this in a separate data frame, right? So I'm storing in a separate data frame. Now this data frame looks like this, right? See? Now what is the next step? The next step is basically that I have to basically give the names of columns, because the columns name also has to come automatically, right? Because what are the column names? The column names are these are the first row, which is with the index 0, because you see these are all dates. So I want these dates to work here, because these are not going to work, because you see these are not in a form which it can work, but it is easier to work in this with these dates, right? because here it's a dot form. It is not in a normal form, but this is in a date form, so it is very easy to work. So if I give the name of the header column number 0, it will become my life will become much more easy. So that also I can do very automatically in an automatic fashion, because I know that the row which will be the column which will be the column of the data frame is the first row with the row index 0. So I'll just simply df.columns is equal to df ilo row index 0 all columns, right? So I'll say enter. So now see how the data frame looks. So it has been, all the columns have been renamed using the values in row 0, right? So this is the next step. Now what I have to do, I have to remove the first column, right? Which is very easy to do. So I'll just do what? I'll just paste here and I'll remove the first column. So now the first column has been removed. You see, first column has been removed. Now we have the column, and we now have a very clean data frame till row number 162. Okay. So then what I have to do is I have to make sure that, now this is a very important step. Now there are 3 indexes, if you see, and then the date actually start from, so this is the column number 1, column number 0, column number 1, column number 3, column number 2, and then the real date index actually starting from column 4, right? Now actually 2, 0, 1, 2 and then 3. So what I need to do is I need to ensure that there are no null columns and null rows after these indexes, because if I take this away and rename them as index, then it becomes very easy to process this data and clean up any garbage of row or column which exists, right? So what I'm doing is I'm converting these columns, the first 3 columns, into index, and then dropping all null row and 0. So if I paste here, if you just paste here, what you will see, I have set index column from column 0 to 3. So I put it as a list. So then all the columns, let me do this and you will understand much better. So what I'll do, I'll just take it out and I'll see. So this has been set as index. Now you see. Now the second thing what I have to do is I have to go here and then copy this and drop all axis 0 and 1 where everything is null, right? So I'll just paste here, Control V, and then I drop it, and just to see whether my data frame is clean or not. So here, there is nothing hard coded. It's very simple to work with this data. Now I stored this in this set. Sorry, here. So this is the data frame which I have stored. The new data frame looks like this. You see? Now what is the next step? The next step is that I have to process the date columns and convert this into dates. Because what you see here, if you see here, if I do df.columns, you will understand what will happen. So if I do df.column, you see the dates with time index. I don't want to work with time index, so I have to clean it up. So it's very easy. I can use a list progression, and I'll show you how it works. So let me do df.column. So what is list comprehension? I'm doing is x.date, because this is a date index, and you see that it is being, when I'm going to work with this, it'll be a date index, and then what I'm doing is for x in df.columns, right? So if I type this, you'll find that all the dates have been extracted. Can you see? All the date have been extracted. Now if I put it as df.columns, now my columns are going to look much more cleaner. You see? Can you see? Columns are going to, the names of the columns are going to be much more cleaner, right? Then I am resetting the indexes and then dropping the 2 columns. Which of the 2 columns I have to drop? I have to drop the column this, which is country lookup column, and the comment section, because I only need the middle column. So I can do it very easily by following the following code. You see, df reset.index, right? Because when I am not doing here drop is equal to true, because I want these indexes, right? And then I'm dropping the columns, because then what will happen when I run this code, this will become, let me just show it to you, it will be easy. So you see, so when I'm running this, this what happened was that one more index basically came up. So let me just run these cells again, and you can understand what is going on. Yeah, now it will be okay. See, so country lookup column, country column, and comments column. Right now you understand. So these indexes have now been converted into column. Then I store it here, and then what I'm doing is I'm just dropping the columns which I don't want. Right. So I drop it. You see now the columns have gone, and only the column which I need is left out. Sorry, I think there is a problem here. What is the problem? Let me just see. There must be a problem here. Okay. DF receiver. I think let me just do it again. There is a problem. So let me run this again, because this is a problem when you are running in individual cells. Now you run this and you see that the country has been extracted. What happens is that when you are making these small changes then the data frame gets changed, the whole thing basically collapses. So now you see that the country has been extracted and rest of the columns are all available. Now what is the next step now? The next step is to map the country names. Now these country names actually has got lot of useless string attached to it, which I don't want to work. I'll show it to you how the country is looking. If you see here, the country actually contains, and let me just do values. So you see that there are so much, there could be Afghanistan Republic of, I don't want these kind of names, right? And then you will see that there are certain Lao People's Republic. So these are all long links, names, which I don't want to use. So what I have to do is that I have to now extract this information into a separate Excel sheet and work manually. So what I have done is, I'm going to show you, I have created a separate Excel sheet which I actually call country mapping naming maps. So let me just open this file and I'll show it to you. See, look, this is the country names map, the first file. So what I've done is I have pasted these values here. Just close this. These values I have pasted here. These value, what you are seeing here, in one of the column, and then manually have mapped all the country names and remove all the garbage, right? So then what I'm doing is, I'll just remove this here. Then what I'm doing is, I am mapping the country name into a separate data frame. I'm following this file which I just showed you. I'm opening this file and I am putting it in a separate data frame called df1.nam. So you see here, if I just Control C and Control V, so you see that this is the data frame of the Excel file which I just showed you. And then what I'm doing is I am converting this data frame into a dictionary. Why I need a dictionary? Because as soon as I have a dictionary, it becomes very easy for me to work with this, replacing the names of the country with the mapped names, and which I can do by using this particular formula, right? So this is the code which I am using. So what I am doing is I am just mapping the name, I am making it string so that there are no garbage there and no float or nothing. So I am just taking the country old name, because there are two names here, right? If you look at this, there are country old and country new. So I'm just taking out all garbage and converting it into a string form. And then what I'm doing is I'm doing a zip and converting into a dictionary, right? Dict. So let me just run this and you can see what I'm doing. So if I take this and then I run this, Control C, and then what I'm doing is the Control V, and I run this. So now you'll find that all the garbage, if any, is gone. So this is the same data frame. Just for the sake of I could have prevented this step. Now the next step is to convert this into a dictionary, right? So how do I do it? So I just simply take this and then say, I'll just remove this data dict and I'll show you that this is now getting converted into a dictionary. See, so there is a dictionary here. Here is the full name and is the abbreviated name. So I have the dictionary ready with me. So now since I have the dictionary ready with me, now it become very easy for me to convert and replace all this name. So what I will do is I'll simply use this column df.replace and data dict 1, whatever is the name of the data dict. So let's say because I have not given any name here, so it is data dict, Control C, and then I say V and equal to, and I run this cell, and then what I do is I just take this and copy this and then I run this. So now you see the data frame is ready, more or less ready. The next step is to convert this data frame and set country as an index. And why I'm setting country as an index is because I want to convert everything into float. Otherwise it becomes a little difficult. We see these are all exponential numbers, so it doesn't look very nice. So I will convert and set the country as index. And once having done that, now I have got the data frame which is like this. And then what I'll do, I'll basically check each and every column and convert this into float with a particular rounding figure. So I'll use this formula for, and I say, when I run this, what will happen is that my data frame is going to become much cleaner. See, it's going to become much cleaner. So you have this step to this, which 20 minutes have passed. So what I will do is I'll cut short this video and make it into two parts. The first part is the first file which I have processed. So now what I am going to do is, so let's do the following. The processing of the second part of the file, I will do a part 2 of the video, and then I will combine this two file into one single file, and I'll show you how it's going to work. Because 20 minutes have passed, it will become a very long video, otherwise people will not like it. So just wait for the next part of this video. I'll come back with the video and I'll show you how you can combine this into a data frame, which will become very easy to process. So thank you for your time. I'll come back to you in the next video. Thank you very much.